Well, I see 0 viewers online. Oh, I see 3. Okay, I think we are live. Wide awake here in, it's not the wee hours, it's the late morning hours now here in California. So, and welcome to our TG Webcast for answering general questions and talking a little bit about a new DVD. We have Jamila online, hopefully keeping everybody entertained and educated and on task, which is not always my forte. Jamila, how you doing?
I'm here. I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing good. So we're already, looks like everything's good. We should do a quick sound check, make sure everyone can hear us.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Well, I guess you've got some text maybe coming in or something or some conversation.
We have some comment boxes on the page. So if you have Facebook, you can use the comment box there. Just let us know that the sound's coming through okay in the video. We're also monitoring our support system, and we have a forum thread if you don't have Facebook. So we'll be monitoring all channels for any questions you guys have.
Yeah, I should maybe check the forum and see if there was anything I should address first. Let me see here. Hopefully this won't. It'll be too distracting. Nobody cares, right? You'll let me know if there's anything important going on the forum, right?
For sure. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well. Let's see. I did see one question from Willem. Should we start with that, or do you have something else you'd like to get rolling?
Yeah, let's kick off with that one. His question was about, it's kind of related to string bending, but also how to get a certain pitch and then, where to release the bend without hearing the release. So smooth transitions and things like that related to bending notes. Yeah.
A great song to work on this with is I Want You from the last Beatles album, from Abbey Road. And the thing that I like to have people do with that one is it's just out of the A pentatonic, out of the blues scale pattern up here that, weird shadow over there. Oh, well, who cares? So it's really 3 notes, the A on the 7th fret of the D string, the C on the 5th fret of the G string, and the D. And when you're going to bend that D a lot. And notice that I have 3 fingers on the string. This is the most important thing about bending, if you need to do it far. In the case of that one, you have like 4 or 5 different ones. And the first one, you just sort of let it go gently up and then cut it off. Because then we hear the guitar come in. But now the next, and so the secret is all 3 fingers have to be the muscle. You can't do this with 1 finger. That's as far as I can go. If I put 3 fingers on it. Now vibrato is a different thing. There's the B.B. King style of vibrato of wiggling a note and making your whole hand go. Oh, that probably looks really bad with our video delay here. But anyway, so in I Want You, the first one you just bend up a little. The keys, fingers really close to the frets, and use all 3 of them. The next time, you're really trying to mimic what you heard John do with his voice. So we bend that one up, and then we hit it again and release it. release it, and then pull it off. Anyway, the lesson at TG on this is pretty detailed, I think. The third one is a up and down one a bunch of times. So you just try to mimic what he's doing with his voice. I also put up a lesson recently on Get Back. Let me think, how's that work? Oh yeah. That little lick that John plays in the after each line is a really good one to practice, because what happens there is you've got you're gonna hit the F sharp at the 11th fret of the G string, then the A at the 10th fret, and then you're gonna go to B, but you're gonna bend that B almost a whole step. And while it's up there, you're gonna hit the high E, and then you're gonna come back and hit it again and release it. Wait a minute. Let me get it back in my head again. I was thinking of the one in the lead where he goes. Anyway, so that's some quick tips on bending, and check out the lesson on Get Back, and we'll talk more about Get Back a little bit later today too. Sort of tied into what's going on here. Okay, what else we got?
So we did have a question from Max Gisco, and unfortunately he wasn't able to join us live because he'll be traveling, but he asks, why does Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey, a 2-chord Grammy-winning song, work so well?
Have not heard it, but there are some great 2-chord songs. Oh boy, so it just shows off my ignorance of contemporary music. And anyway, sorry about that. But let's see, other 2-chord songs. Because I was even thinking about doing a couple of them on this. Horse with No Name, 2-chord song. However, they play a couple variations on the same 2 chords. We basically have an E minor 7 and a D add 9 with F sharp in the bass, but later on we hear an E minor 9. So really colorful chords like that can make a big difference. But there are 1-chord songs. Credence. Let me think, how's it go? There it is. Okay, keep on chugling. 9 minutes of one song. It's just got a groove, and the melody is really the hook to the song. So 2-chord songs, Season of the Witch almost qualifies as one. Oh, Feeling All Right. There we go. That was the one I was looking for. Seems I've got to have change of scene every night. Now, what it has is 2 different melodies played over the same 2 chords. Later on, the chorus does the same thing. Feeling all right. Not feeling too good myself. So, yeah, there are a lot of pretty cool 2-chord songs out there. Anything else?
Cool. We don't have any other questions right now, but let's talk a little bit about how 2 3-chord songs really work for beginner guitar players, or even intermediates, just to kind of have fun and play music.
And they can turn into long jam songs. I had a lot of fun when I was a teenager, still do once in a while, but playing Down by the River. And really the main part of the song, and Neil Young does a lot of these, a lot of his long jamming tunes are really just 2 chords that are then that you just work on leads over. So between E minor 7 and A, he kind of sets the mood for the whole song. And uses notes out of. Interesting little thing with that song, I'm playing an A7 right now here too. Interesting little thing about that song is it's when you have that progression, a minor chord going up a 4th to a major chord. There are a lot of Santana songs that do this. Black Magic Woman, Evil Woman, Evil Ways. It's in G, I think, G minor. It really ends up being in the Dorian mode, and so you end up playing notes out of, not really notes out of E minor and not really notes out of A. It would be notes out of the key that has E minor as step 2, which would then be the key of D. So the lead played over those 2 chords would be out of the D scale. You could use a D pentatonic or the whole major scale. But you still want it to revolve around the note E. So right there, as I was playing that stuff out of D, it seemed a little weird. But let's see. So the beginners, it really is hard to learn a lot of chords off the bat. That's why we came out with the 4-chord Campfire DVD a month or so ago, and that got me to thinking that I ought to show people a lot of songs you can play with 3 chords. And it was really fun sort of going back and thinking of 3-chord songs that use a variety of the important chords to learn. So what I really like beginners to do is start working from day 1 on at least 8 important chords, 5 major chords and 3 minor chords. And with those, you can really play hundreds, if not thousands of songs if we just kind of put them together in a few different things. And so some of these I would even qualify or categorize as maybe what I'd call caveman rock songs. And some of them, like this, Gloria, just turn into a great, aside from the fact that it's kind of fast, it is a really good one to practice for those changes, E, D, and A, and getting your hands moving quickly from one chord to another. Now, there are a lot of other 3-chord songs that are much slower. When you're especially working with an A chord and a D chord and an E chord, it's important to learn to keep your first finger in contact with the string that it's on, because it's in all 3 of those chords is all in the same place. So beginners should really work on these 8 chords first, the 5 majors and the 3 minors, and a few of the 7th chords. Now there are six different 7th chords you can play in first position. And that many of them are not, you don't see B7s too often until you get into chord songs that have more complicated progressions, but they're still really easy to play. So at least 5 of those 7th chords are all ones that you should learn. So good little set of chords to have in your toolbox from is the 5 majors, the 3 minors, and the 6 7th chords. And then you start working on bar chords, and you can go, then you can pretty much play anything. So yeah, I've recently put together a set of songs that work with just 3 chords, and it's a really good way to just get develop the techniques you need to do stuff. Should we talk specifically about some of the songs, since we might run out of battery juice? By the way, here we're living on a camera that is, anyway, we're still in like 19th century technology with some of the stuff with the webcasts. So any thoughts, Jamila?
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit about some of the songs that,
Okay.
little structure and what they can learn from them, aside from just learning the song, because I know you're like people to take away techniques and not just mimicking songs.
Yeah, it's really easy to find the chord progression to a song and then just hack your way through it and figure like, oh, okay, I think I've got it. But my teaching technique from for the many years I've been doing this has more revolved around getting people to understand what's going on in a song and not just and be creative with it and learn a few different strumming patterns. But the idea with strumming patterns is to then get away from even thinking about them and just do whatever seems appropriate for the song. Like I'll teach a song using the ballad pattern, like Comfortably Numb. First, we learn that with the ballad pattern: down, rest, down, down, up. But when you have 2 measures of each chord, as happens with most of that in there, you want to branch out in that second measure and not just think I have to do this exact same thing. It'll sound much better to thicken that second measure up. that'll sound much better than just. So with every song that I teach, I try to have techniques or theory in there, talking about the relationship of the chords and why in Margaritaville, which uses basically the three major chords in the key of D, G, and A, usually have A7 come in there. And in a lesson on that, I'll explain why it's A7 and what the job of a dominant seventh chord is and how it pulls you back to one, and then even bring in a fourth chord in that D7, but we'll always have an explanation as to why that's in there and what it's doing. And so that's what I try to do with every lesson, is give you other stuff, fundamentals that you can carry over into other things. You know, I have students once in a while that I'll say, well, play something. He says, oh, I can't play anything without my music. I said, wait a minute, play some chords and move around and try to think about even a song. But you want to be able to mess around on the guitar well, anyway, rambling on about that. But yeah, the three chord songs are a great way for beginners to concentrate on three different chords and get those. And once you can play them in the one song, especially a song that changes fast like Gloria, you'll now have E, A, and D that you can take out. I mean, can play anytime. So
cool. Well, we do have a couple questions.
Okay.
Bob from Great Falls, Montana is asking, what would Leo, and I'm probably going to destroy this, Leo Kotke's basic right hand and pattern look like, or something similar?
So Leo Kotke, was a huge. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Since I didn't know the Chris Stapleton song we were talking about, so it's okay that you don't know famous guitar players. No, that's okay, because but he was a huge influence on me with he made two albums earlier that nobody ever heard of, Circle Around the Sun and what was the other one called? Anyway, but he came out with an album in about 1970 called 6 and 12 String Guitar that had some great songs on it, and he was kind of a protege, or what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, maybe, of John Fahey, who was another big influence on all of us who are like getting old nowadays. And Leo does use three fingers in his picking, and very good right hand technique. But the thing that he can do very easily, that is very hard for a lot of people, including John Fahey, is play very fast. And so he can take a song like Doc's Guitar. Doc's Guitar is a great song to work on to start working on Leo's style, because it's very simple. Thumb, index, thumb, middle, 1 and 2 and you do that on every chord. C, A minor 7, F, and he plays most of the F chords with his thumb wrapped around, and G. Now, the thing with that is it goes really fast. So that's something that Leo can do very easily. Notice though, my hand was barely moving. Hopefully all those fast notes can even made it through the ether here, and you could hear kind of what was going on there. But just practicing that pattern with a chord on, or even not, just getting used to this and working on speeding it up until it can go, breakneck speed or whatever, where you can't even tell what's happening really, is a good way to get into Leo's songs. So I kind of would recommend working on Doc's Guitar first before you tackle some of Leo's more complicated ones like The Fisherman. He has another one, Stealin', is almost the same song as Doc's Guitar, and I can't remember the little melody that happens with it right now. But The Fisherman is a great one to work on for hammer-ons and pull-offs. Now, of course, in Leo's normal way, it goes much faster than that. And it should go a little slower than that, but it's still a good song to work on just the first line to get the hang of playing fast. But that's kind of what you need to play Leo's tunes. He did great versions of a couple of Fahey songs. Play through it. This is in Christ There Was No East or West. Nice little slow melody, and then he picked it up just the way Fahey did. Anyway, so that's some suggestions to maybe get headed into some Leo Kottke tunes. Practice Doc's guitar very slowly and work on speeding it up, and then take a look at The Fisherman, or even Windy and Warm, which was more another Doc Watson tune, but really a John D. Loudermilk song, really a Chet Atkins song, to get really specific about where it came from. But those are a couple tunes that would be good to help you get in the world of playing Leo's tunes. Hope that helps. But okay,
cool.
What else?
And I'll share some of those lesson links that you mentioned on the comments here as well.
Okay,
so,
great.
We have a question from Becky. She says she's an intermediate guitar player. She's got pretty good finger picking technique, and she's played for many years. But now she's trying to pick up working with a pick, and she's not too good. She's having a little bit of trouble. So she's trying to find the right string sometimes when she's playing with a pick, because you can't really feel them. Yeah.
A couple things about that. First of all, you need to get comfortable holding the pick. And that is just, I tell people, walk around with it in your hand. It needs to be as comfortable in your hand as a pen is for writing or something. And so it just needs to feel, I remember I was always amazed watching John McEnroe play tennis. And it always just looked like the racket was part of his arm. It didn't seem like it was, anything foreign. And the pick has to be that same way. I like to have people work on specific songs. Don't Fear the Reaper is one of the best ones to work on pick technique, because when you're hitting individual strings like that, one string at a time, you want to make sure you have an anchor down here, that you've got your little finger either resting on the pick guard, or I tend to curl this knuckle, and it's my knuckle. I really can't show this very well on there. Maybe I can. I don't know. Let's see. I put my knuckle down there on the guitar, and what that does is it keeps your hand in one place, so that you can't. If I was going to play Don't Fear the Reaper and wanted to play it really quickly, I would not do it with my hand free. Too much mass is moving to be able to hit those strings like that. But if you put the anchor down, and maybe the tip of your little finger is even touching the first string, specifically in the case of that song, we're not playing it anyway. But that's a song I like to have people work on for this, and alternate the picking down and up. I'm going to decide how to do that with my left hand. So that's a good song to work on for that. One of my favorite songs that every student should learn. And then there are the whole idea of focused strumming. And this is something that gets addressed in one of the songs in this new set, where actually in a lot of the songs, where you're not hitting all 6 strings, and you're not just hitting one individual one, but you're hitting kind of like an area. And so as an example, in Gloria, you don't want to just hear this. Where I'm hitting all the strings all the time. On that very first E chord, you want to hear more just bass. The D and the A, so right there I'm aiming for the sixth string, but I'm trying to hit the 6th and the 5th and maybe a little on the 4th, but not wanting to hear everything there. So working on focused strumming, where you're hitting various areas. Good Riddance is a really good one for that. two bass notes, or two hits, two downs in the vicinity of the bass notes, and then an up, particularly bringing out the second string, and then another up, bringing out the second string, the third string. Let me think about that. Bass notes, the second string, and then the third string. That's what we want. Changes to C and then changes to D, and we hear that high D on the ups on all of those. So that's a couple of tips for improving with a pick, but keep the anchor down, not in what I was just doing there, not in the Green Day one, but in Don't Fear the Reaper when you're trying to hit single strings. Neil Young's The Needle and the Damage Done is another really good song for that. Right there, I'm hitting the bass notes fairly cleanly, or meaning just individually, and then the melody, a lot of those ups are across a couple of strings. Then we get into the next part where we do need to pick out this bass line. So that's a good one to practice for that too. So there's a couple songs that could maybe help you along, but just getting comfortable holding the pick is part of the deal. And that's something in all my recent DVDs, especially the Campfire ones, we talked about, there's always a segment on strumming and holding the pick and, different ways of strumming. So it's be worth checking out.
Cool. And now our next question comes from Dan. He's asking, can you riff a little on the similarities and differences between country blues and ragtime and how to describe each? They're related, but I find it difficult to explain how or even describe them. Similarly, what are the differences between Delta and Piedmont blues?
That might be a little tougher for me to explain right off the top of my head. But they all fall into the country blues category. Country blues just means, kind of just means acoustic fingerpicking blues, as opposed to now Reverend Gary Davis's style is kind of considered Piedmont, which is tends to be more ragtimey than the Delta style. The Delta style would be a little bit more like that, more similar to what happened with electric stuff. But getting back to the country and ragtime thing, if something is even ragtime blues is country blues in my head and book, and songs like That'll Never Happen No More. The main thing that makes ragtime not ragtime blues, but ragtime and ragtime blues, I guess, separate, is ragtime blues uses elements of blues for the chord progressions. You'll hear stuff, you'll hear sometimes 12-bar progressions, or you'll hear 16-bar progressions like That'll Never Happen No More, or 8-bar things but following something different than a ragtime progression, ragtime melody. Ragtime is much stricter and constrained in terms of it's usually got to have 16 measure sections. Each section is really a standalone piece. This is ragtime time. Gotta remember it. There we go. A lot of people think of ragtime as more, which this is also ragtime. Uh-oh, how's this go? Anyway, Maple Leaf Rag. So when we talk about ragtime, we're talking about a much stricter, almost classical type form that was done by people like Joseph Lamb and Scott Joplin, of course, and pieces like The Entertainer. And ragtime blues is more kind of the hybrid of stuff like that. And that's what some of the styles I love playing. We'll hear songs like "Keep on Truckin'." A 8 or 16 measure sequence that uses those characteristics of blues and ragtime, hence ragtime blues. Hope that clears it up a little bit, or maybe just confused myself more. But moving on.
Cool. Well, that is the last of our questions on the page so far. If anybody has any more, please feel free to post on any of the channels. We're watching them all, so we're happy to address anything. Let's go back a little bit into playing. Let's simplify it a little bit. Go back into playing the simple songs as well.
Yeah. One of the things when there are a lot of songs that I've taught over the years, way before we started, Matt and I started Totally Guitars 7 or 8 years ago, whatever it is now, that I would teach most students a slightly simplified version, because maybe what was going on in there was actually really, really complicated. And even a song like, let me think if I can come up with a good example. I might teach even somebody Fire and Rain, but not have them finger pick it yet, just to get used to the chords. Now James Taylor is getting like way out there in terms of difficult stuff. But a lot of songs. Oh, here we go. John Denver. He has some really nice finger picking stuff in his songs. Frequently done on a 12-string guitar, and people might want to learn something like Rocky Mountain High. And I'd say, okay, well, it's done in drop D tuning, and it's got some kind of tricky hammer-ons and some unusual chords. Let's learn some more a basic version first. That hence the term I use is Campfire Versions, where we slightly simplify it. Now, a beginning student could learn to do that with, it's a little bit of a fast strum, but we can modify the chord. It's basically the same chord progression, but not done as elaborately as he did. What he really did was in drop D tuning, and then had this nice little melody. Okay. That's very difficult for a beginner, but the song is still one that you could play pretty easily with just using the same chords: D, E minor, G, A. There's a C in there later on too. So gearing things, and sometimes I'd have a beginner say, "Hey, I want to learn, such and such a song," and I'd say, my first thought would be, oh my God, it's got 75 bar chords in it. Let's not think about it yet. Well, let's transpose it to a different key and work on it there, and learn a simpler version. So there are a lot of songs that now fall into this category that I'd say are that almost every song can be simplified a little bit. Now, Let It Be, very easy if you just strum the chords. But we could actually get more of we could get more of what the piano did in there if we played it like in a lot harder version. So I like to make things doable for students. But then, like I started saying a little bit a while ago, when we started TG and I was starting to put lessons together on video lessons, I thought, I might have to take it up the ante a little bit and do more accurate versions of what they really played, that an intermediate player would be a real challenge for, as opposed to, and then we still want like a simpler version. One of the first songs I teach people, I usually have them work on Norwegian Wood, just to get used to a little strum. maybe a quick chord change to C in there. But once they've gotten a little bit further, we try to bring in what the guitar might have really done. We'll try that again. Get the melody right this time. So, campfire versions are just a great way to have a lot of fun with a song and not really worry about playing it exactly the way it was on the record, but play something that is within reach of beginning intermediate students. So that's what kind of the direction that we've gone with this latest release.
Cool. So it's like stepping stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed too sometimes when you try to tackle a song that is a little beyond your difficulty level, it can become frustrating for you. So that's another benefit of starting kind of with simpler patterns.
Yeah, and it's easier. It's easy too then to have a lot of songs down. You know, it'd be good to have a nice little library of 15 or 20 songs that you can play fairly easily. Then you can start working on harder ones that are going to take more time. So it's good to have this foundation of repertoire.
Cool. So in that time, we had a couple more questions come in.
Okay.
We have a question from Randy. He's saying, funny how time slips away by Willie Nelson. How does Willie pick and chord that song at the same time, the way he appears to do it?
Willie is pretty good. And there are a lot of songs I'd have to go back and listen to it to hear exactly what he's doing. But one thing is, he's been playing guitar for about 900 years. And so at that point, you get to where you can do some pretty complicated picking unconsciously or subconsciously. James Taylor and Jim Croce songs all have neat things like that in it. And Nick Drake songs, some of the Nick Drake songs that I did lessons on have the unbelievably complicated stuff going on with the right hand. And for a student to work on those, the path is to work on the picking without worrying about singing it first, and just get it down, and don't even think about the words. And let's say you're working on Fire and Rain. Well, he actually does that even while he's singing. But I have people play the intro, learn the intro first, and then just kind of do generic picking. And then learn some of his little licks. But when you have something more complicated, now when you want to work this in and sing over it, that part has to be, you have to be able to play that, what I've mentioned before, subconsciously, where it's just, you're not putting any brain power into it. So a good way to practice that is try to watch TV, watch the news or something, and keep your hands moving. Keep doing some picking, and they could just be simple songs. It could be Dust in the Wind or something. And you need to be able to keep this moving and have your attention not all on it. If you're glued to every little move, you're not ready to sing the song. So I think Willie is just as most accomplished and professional guitar players and singers have just gotten to the point where it's pretty easy for him because they've been doing it he probably hasn't been doing it for 900 years, but at least 50. So, but yeah, working on getting a little bit less conscious about what you're playing is a good step in that direction.
Cool. And we have a question from Bart Marshall.
Oh, good.
He says, when finger picking, I use my thumb in patterns for my songs, but he has issues when trying to use the thumb independently. And he's got any suggestions besides slow it down?
Let me think about that. I'm not sure I got it clear. It might be, a pattern. It might be good to work on a song like, God, what song do I have these in? Nah, it's not going to work in Desperado. Learning a hybrid pattern where for half the measure you're doing an arpeggio where you have a double thumb. So you're playing a thumb on one and on the and of one, and then a finger on two and another finger on the and of two. Something like this. If I did this on a G chord, I'd play the 6th string and then the 4th string, and then maybe 2 fingers. The second half of the measure, I would alternate bass notes. So I'd play a bass on 3 and a bass on 4 with fingers in between. So that might be a good pattern, and I think we hear that in well, I think Bart probably plays some Jim Croce songs. He does a pattern a lot of times that is a set of 3. That's a great example, operator, of a song that could be done really well with this pattern I just played, the half arpeggio, half alternating. So on the G chord, thumb, thumb, finger, finger, and then thumb, finger, thumb, finger. It sounds something like this. So that's a pattern I'd recommend doing, but we'll talk about that this year at camp, Bart. I know Bart is joining us at IGC, where, speaking of which, we have a couple of spots left coming up at the end of August this year. I might as well put in a plug for camp, huh, Jamila? We've had a couple more people join us lately, and we have room for like 3 more. So if anybody's thinking about joining us at the International Guitar Camp, jump on it. So hope that helps, Bart. What else you got?
So we have one more question also related to finger picking, but this comes from Shannon from New York, and she's saying, when putting together a finger picking piece, where's the best place to start?
I am assuming she's talking about like writing an instrumental or maybe, oh boy, the best place to start with writing anything is a chord progression. Come up, think about what you want the chord to do, unless you've already got a melody in your head that some people might. But even if you're just going to write a song that has you need a chord progression. So let's write a song. Okay, we have an 8-measure progression: D, A, E minor, G, D, C, G. Okay, now I need to come up with a melody. Well, if I just start finger picking it, something might happen. Oh, that was C. So I came up with a little bit of a melody that might be, this would be more probably a vocal type song, because that melody was, something that would be pretty easy to sing and the notes didn't move too quickly. If you come up with a melody like this, it's not gonna necessarily be a vocal song. But really the place to start with any kind of song is come up with a chord progression and then start looking for notes that mix in and blend with them to create a melody. So not sure if that answers the question. I'll probably might need to be a little bit more one-on-one to help Shannon do that. So what else?
Cool. Well, it looks like that is all the questions I have so far.
Okay.
We're getting down to about 15 more minutes. How's your battery looking?
Looks pretty good. So I think we can make it till 11 o'clock here. So.
All right. Awesome.
But we might as well talk about the disc then, huh?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and show them what we have coming up here, or what's actually we're unveiling exclusively here.
I guess so. This is supposed to be like a new announcement, huh? So
yeah.
What do I have to, let me see here. I got to do a share screen, right? Oh, but yeah. All right, we're ready for the slideshow, or should I tell them more about it first?
Let's do the slideshow and we'll tell them a little bit about it while we're showing them.
Okay.
The first time we're releasing this, everyone.
I know. Let me see here. It looks like if all goes well, you should be seeing a little info on Campfire Guitar Volume 2. And what I really was trying to do with this was put together some 3-chord songs. Just because our last one had 4-chord songs in it, but it only had 5 chords in the whole thing. So this one has songs in a few different keys that make it that help you work on some of the important chords that I was talking about before. We don't have any real finger picking in here and no real bar chords, but so everything's played with a pick, and then it's just got, I think 10 of my top songs for showing people that are really fun to play. And with all of them, I branch them out into a little bit more of sometimes what's happening with the lead. So for example, I think the first one, I can't remember the order necessarily, or I haven't, it's not all settled yet. Will be like this afternoon. But the first one we hear is this. And in the lesson on that, we talk about the chord progression, simple strumming pattern, basically keeping the folk pattern going, and then even talk a little bit about the intro, and how to play the lead. And with almost all of these songs, we bring in stuff that more than just here are the chords, here's the strum, go home and work on it. I talk about some of the options of different ways of fingering chords, some of the ways to vary some of the strumming, and so there's a lot, a ton of information in these 10 lessons. The songs. Let's see. I'll tell you what some of the songs are. Margaritaville is in there. Helpless is in there. Neil Young's Helpless, and on that one I bring in a little bit of even some of the stuff that we hear the piano do. That is not things you hear the guitar actually do in there. Then there are a couple of my favorite caveman songs. And even this, I wanted to have one power chord song in there, but also go into a way of playing that using a capo and easy to play chords and some of the things that people don't really know about Louie Louie. It really should sound more like this. It's not just a simple power chord song. There's a little bit more to it. So anyway, so that's some of the info that's in there. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, there it is. It's now for sale, I guess. So
hey Neil, we're not seeing your screen.
Okay, nobody is.
Yeah, we're still seeing the live cast. Do you want to try to switch over one more time for us?
Sure. Let me see. What do I have to do? Okay. I probably got to hit another button on. Let me see here. Not in. Oh, back in Chrome. Okay, I hit the screen share button. I chose this one this time. Maybe I chose the wrong one. Okay. Let's see. Now, we know there's a long delay on this, but let's see if in a minute. Okay, and I go to, yeah, because it says I could stop sharing now.
All right, we'll give it a second, see if it pops up here.
Okay. I hear the Beatles in the backyard. Is anybody else? Okay, it's still not there, huh?
Yeah, we're there. We're good.
Okay. Well, so everything I just said, did everybody see while I was, scratching my neck and all that other stuff when I thought, no. But so here is what it looks like.
Oh, we switched back again. I think you're hitting one of the buttons and it's dropping it back down.
I haven't touched it since, that. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's by going full screen. It says I'm in presenter view. Yikes. That's probably not supposed to happen.
The joys of technology, right?
Yeah. No. Okay. Audience tools. Wow. Okay, but you had it up for a second, huh?
Yep, it did pop up for a second and went back down.
Man. All right, let me go back and see if Chrome is messing us up. Oh man, this is interesting. Well, okay. Let's let it ride again too, because now I probably am. Sorry, no, I got 8 more minutes on my battery. It looks like it's only a little red. So, what are some of the rest of the songs in there? I can talk about that too. Oh, there's a Campfire version of "Get Back" that even shows the little bending thing that I talked about. So, still there, huh?
We're good. It's there.
Okay. Then I will. I can't even remember all the songs that are in there now. Oh, let's see. We had Gloria, Margaritaville, Get Back. I should have had a list. Why am I so unprepared for this? Jamila!
That's totally fine. Let's see here. So yeah, we do have Margaritaville. We have Helpless, Gloria, Working Class Hero. That's a good one.
Oh, so what I work on in that one, very simple, 3 chords, but we also talk about it's in 3/4 time, and then it's also has some hammer-ons in the bass notes, this kind of thing. Of course, in Working Class Hero, it sounds more like this. So I talk about, how to make sure the pick, you're doing everything right with the pick and getting the hammer-ons and stuff in there. So we got that Lennon tune. What's after that? Oh, wait a second. Wrong button. What do we have after Working Class Hero? Do you remember? Or do you have that list there?
We have Blowing in the Wind.
Oh,
and Louie Louie, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Blowing in the Wind is really interesting too, because I've always shown there are so many different versions of it out there. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And so when I would teach somebody it, I would just teach what I would call a Campfire version, with it is more like Peter, Paul, and Mary did. But just a couple of weeks ago, because a student wanted to know what was going on, might have been Jim. I'm not sure if Jim C was here. We listened to it and saw and heard this. But that's what Bob was really doing. So it's funny in that one, even though I call it a Campfire version, I also go to a little bit of trouble and show you exactly what he played. So it's kind of a bonus. And some of the other songs are like that as well. And for example, I know later on we've got Get Back and The Joker. And The Joker's a really fun one to play. So yeah, all of these have bits and pieces of what really happened in them as well. So I guess it's live. People can probably buy it. Special deal today, huh? Yeah,
well, we do have it on sale. We typically push them up for $29.95, but we have them at $24.95 today, exclusively for the webinars. So I'll pop a link in the chat. Everybody can go and check it out, see if it's something that you're interested in adding to your library. Yeah. Fun songs to play. I saw Leaving on a Jet Plane on that list too, which is a good one. Yeah, and that's another example of one where he did some kind of fancy picking in it, but I kept it in the Campfire range of really just showing you how we would strum that around the campfire, which I first played that back when I was at Echo Mountain Ranch in the late '60s, right when it was brand new when that came out. I could have missed this by a year, but I remember watching the Neil Armstrong on the Moon. So it was 1969. One year I was there, but I know we were playing Leaving on a Jet Plane back then, and I didn't realize how new it really was then. I thought it was an old standard, or something like that. But it was, John Denver's tune. So anyway, so there we have the most of the info, I guess. Anything else we need to? Oh wait, there was something else I was going to bring up about
Nope, never mind. It's totally escaped. So
cool. Well, we are good. Now, we did have a little bit of a late question if we want to try to squeeze it in.
Sure.
In regards to live performing. So Terry from England, he says he thinks of himself as an intermediate guitarist. Been playing for 20 months and have a broad repertoire, but doesn't feel confident performing songs to friends and family. Does practice at least an hour a day, sometimes more. So in regards to overcoming that sort of stage fright, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, a couple really important things, because this happens when students are even in a lesson with me, is they come in and they'll play something, they'll mess it up and say, oh man, I played it so much better at home. The biggest thing, or there's a couple things you can do, but one of them is don't try to play it better than you ever have. Make sure that you're aim for an average performance of it rather than hey, I think I'm going to get out of this slide thing now and go back. Is that okay? Should we go back?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
If I can figure out how to do that. Let's see. Oh, what do I have to do? Stop screen sharing, maybe?
Yep, that would be it.
Okay. So the two little suggestions. One is don't try to play it better than you ever have, and also don't think that it has to be perfect. I think I told this story the last time, so I'll skip it for now. But when you're practicing, you're usually not practicing in the same mode that you think of when you're performing, or if you look at those two things as different, it can cause a problem, because you tend to not practice trying to play it perfectly. You practice it just trying to play it averagely, and if something goes wrong, you don't worry about it, and you just keep going and stuff. So you can sometimes practice trying to play it perfectly just because thinking that you're like recording it. And I know that the most stressful playing I ever did was when it was in front of a microphone when I was making an album. The first time in 1980, in the late 80s, I made a Christmas album. And this is before we had digital editing techniques and all that kind of stuff. So it's like any mistakes were not really fixable on an acoustic guitar with analog tape. But it was. I remember thinking as I'm playing, sometimes I was just really tense, and I was much looser on the second album when I did an album of Beatles tunes, because I wasn't as worried about playing it perfectly. I was thinking, just make it an average performance. So the two keys: sometimes practice trying to play it perfectly, just to get into that mindset. But don't worry that you will probably always have trouble and probably always fail doing that. So don't worry that it doesn't work. And then when you play something in front of somebody, don't try to play it perfectly. Try to play it the way you're in your mindset of when you're practicing. So hopefully that will help. And other than that, we can probably wrap this up, huh?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Maybe I should play something. Play us out of here with a John Fahey Leo Kaki tune. Okay, it got darker in here. I guess I forgot to turn on all the lights. But that's it. Thanks, Jamila. You did great. Hopefully we all had a little bit of fun and maybe learned a few things. And stay tuned. We will be doing more of these over the next few months. So that's all. So long.